Hello, YouTube. I've come before you today to talk to you about Christ and what He commands that we do for the poor. I look at people talking about what we can do for the poor, but I don't really see the action. We have to come to a time where we take action. There's some simple things that we can do to help the poor. We can cut taxes. We can give away food. We can build less expensive homes. We have homeless people on our streets now. Some of them may prefer their lifestyle. There's something to be said for that, but I think they would also prefer a better structure in which to sleep. And we can just simply go out there and build tiny homes, build reasonable structures that still pass muster with the building codes, the building code enforcement people. That's certainly possible if government would either do it or allow citizens to do it. There are plenty of people out here right now that would grab up some wood and some metal and whatever they have access to and build some structures that people can get out of the weather. And I think we would do that in America. Americans are that kind of loving people. We would just go ahead and find a reasonable plot of land that doesn't belong to anybody, that's not blocking. I mean, this whole business of people being able to block the street with their tents is just horrible. I mean, I think they should find a better place to camp. I don't think there's anything really fundamentally wrong with camping. A lot of people have camped. As long as you have a reasonable structure, I don't think a tent is that great of a structure in the kind of weather that people are dealing with. You need something a little stronger. So if we could build some structures that maybe don't belong to any one person, but are available to those people who need them. Shacks, if you will. People build shacks all over the third world, but we can build some that are stronger and that can withstand the weather and keep people from freezing to death. And I'm happy to see that we are buying food from farmers all over this country, the excess food that would be going to the restaurants and so forth, schools. We are buying that food from farmers and distributing it to various food banks. That's a very holy Christian thing to do. I'm so happy that we have a president that thinks in this way and doesn't worry about bringing the prices down. A lot of businessmen would say, well, don't do that because that's going to bring the prices down in the supermarkets and so forth. But you know what? You can't worry about that. You just need to do the right thing. And helping the poor is the right thing. That's the number one thing we should be thinking about as Christians, as a country, along with our security, obviously. But those things, to some extent, do go together, because if you can't secure these children, then what kind of country are you? You can't keep them safe. If a child is living in abject poverty and violent in surroundings, that's not acceptable. I think as a government and as a people, we need to do more to help these children who are without proper care. Those people, those are severely impoverished and endangered. We should do a lot more to help them. We should put more money into the foster care system, make sure that it's righteous. And that's something we should do a lot more of, build bridges to these children and take them out of their environment in some cases, because their environments are so dangerous and unhealthy in various ways. They're not eating right, and sometimes that's the least of their problems. There's gunshots. They have to hide in the bathtubs at night. Some of them don't have adequate clothing. They're being abused. We know about the abuse. So I just hope we continue to work on that too. When you talk about helping the poor, I think it includes, most of these children are certainly in poverty when they're in these awful violent neighborhoods, and they have parents who are not taking care of them. It kind of goes along with poverty. It's not strictly the same thing. There are wealthy people who mistreat their children as well. So God bless them as well. But please, if you can find in your heart to try to help impoverished people, especially children who are not in a position to help themselves. I mean, I do believe in giving away money to people who ask me. Food, if I'm a fool, I'll just be a fool, because God tells you to give to those who ask you. I mean, it doesn't say you have to give them all of your wealth. I don't know, maybe it does. But boy, the Lord, He just amazes you with His expectation of the grace that you're supposed to show people. It's overwhelming sometimes, the thing when He says, if somebody steals your coat, give them your cloak as well, your overcoat. And most of us don't do that. Most of us are not able to forgive at the level that Jesus demands. I just keep praying that I'm able to do it. I think I'm able to do it in times. But pray for me. I hope that I can continue to develop that profound sense of forgiveness. That's a miracle. But we are also called to help the poor, feed them with the gospel of Christ, but also feed them with naturally healthy foods and healthy environments. Get them away from bad water and bad neighborhoods. So I think there are a lot of things that we can do for those out here who are impoverished, for our veterans who are living on the street. We can build structures and put them in, and we'll worry about what that does to the economy or whatever it does to the neighborhood. We can worry about that later. Let's do the right thing. Take it from there. Cut the taxes. Cut these flat taxes of gas. Income taxes starting on people who really don't have that much money. I mean, sometimes when I was single, I had no kids. They would tax me at a 40% or 30 to 40% rate. I wasn't even making that much money. I don't want to complain. You should give to your, the common good, the government, and they should righteously use that money. But at any rate, we can get into what they're using that money for later. But they can cut taxes. That's a good thing that they can do to keep themselves from further impoverishing people. They can cut back on all these tickets that they're trying to give people for parking here and there. You're just trying to bleed the people. I think for a lot of ways, government tries to hurt its people and take advantage of its people. These income taxes could be lower, state taxes, sales taxes could be lower. You could lower. Those are flat taxes. Those are taxes that hurt the poor more. Gas. People need gas. I know not everybody needs to drive, and probably people need to try to walk and bike and use public transportation more. There's no doubt about it. But I don't think you can make driving use of gasoline so expensive that poor people who maybe need to drive, need to get to work via car, need to pick up their children via car, are burdened with high expenses. So I think there's got to be another way to generate that revenue. Anyway, let me know what you think. It's important that we help the poor. Amen. Jesus' name.